Good morning, good morning. Another quiet morning in Asuxa here. Got a beautiful day. I wanted to put the camera facing to the east, but I can't do that. The sun is shining right directly into the lens. So for at least the next hour or so, the sun shines right onto the camera. Good morning, good morning. The audio sounds okay. I've been testing it for the past 5 or 10 minutes. All I can hear, is the ambient sound outside. There's a traffic roar from the city. And when I turned off the inside mic, left the outside mic up, and there is a roar from the city that's in the audio there. It's okay, I think. The appointment I got my paper. It's not today. It's 1 week from now, the 26th. They've got 400 doses this month. 400 doses this month. Again, it'll happen in May. Again, however many they get, I don't know. And what I'm curious about, they've got 400 doses. Whether that means they're going to select 400 people or 200 people, it's not clear from their website. So I don't know what's going to happen. I've got my magic number, and we'll do it on the stream, I guess, next week. I'll try and log in at 9 o'clock on the 26th. Thanks for the idea, but I don't think we want to do that. Crowdsource this, I don't think so. Okay, what's up today? The numbers are just, I don't even really want to talk about this. This morning's newspaper had a story about this. Again, the numbers here in Japan. Where are we here? I don't even want to see it. Here we go. Japan began inoculating its population of over age 65 on Monday. This is 1 week ago, after beginning its campaign with healthcare workers earlier. By Friday afternoon, a total of 6,674 people had received their first shots. So from Monday they started, by Friday they got 6,600 people done. And there are only like 133 million of us. I don't know. So the 0.0, I think, I think including the health workers, they've done a lot of the health workers. They've got 1.5 million of them done. So I think the overall population, where 0.04% of the population is vaccinated. They got almost 7,000 people done in the whole first week. Just whatever. This country is just so cool. I like it, I love it, but it is extremely frustrating. Same as everywhere. If you're American, right? You like it, you love it. But the news the last couple of days, just whatever. We're all human beings. Okay, let's get some work done. What's happening this morning is going to be carving. I'll be carving on the lion. Tiger. I'll be carving on the tiger. I have to sharpen first. Before a slight update on the previous work. The color separations are done, in quotation marks. Done. Taran-san came over yesterday. Yesterday or the day before, I forget. Day before. He came over yesterday. We scratched our heads over this. There's lots and lots of things on this print that are unclear what to do. There's so many places that are vague. There's a line here and a line there. We don't know what to do. So we've worked out what we think is a reasonable color separation. Good experience for him too, because so far, whatever. Good experience for him too. So we've got what we think is a good color separation. It's a couple more blocks than we had planned on, that I had wanted. It's going to be a bit more work for the printers, but it's going to be, we think, a spectacular little print. So he and I worked it out on Saturday. He then left to go over to Asuka Sensei, and then I spent the rest of the afternoon printing sheets and coloring them, and then pasting them down on blocks. This is an extra one. I made a couple of extras, and this is one that got left over. So there isn't going to be any pasting happening this morning here. That's already done, and the blocks were sent yesterday, and he will be waiting in his workshop right now, waiting for the blocks to arrive. Paper's out. Suga-san's already busy. She's already busy. Both Suga-san and Ishikawa-san are working on the May print. It's coming along well. They're doing well. Aoyama-san, he's given me more for testing, and I don't know. Let's do some sharpening. If Taran's watching this morning, he's just going to be crying when he sees this, He's just going to be crying. He's doing it the real way. He's working with Asuka Sensei, and they're doing it, of course. Asuka-san is teaching him, training him the real way. To put the stone in front of you, side to side, and don't move your body and all that kind of stuff. Don't move your head. He's doing it the real way. And more power to him. It's good. Good. Did I label them? This is the problem. I know Aoyama-san, he's given me another one. This is definitely from China, and he has asked me now to compare the two that I've got, one of which is Chinese and one of which is Japanese. He's trying to choose the best one, the best value for what we're doing with the tool set we're selling sometime. And the Chinese one, of course, is a tenth of the price. I myself don't really want to buy things from China in the current situation. But it's a tenth of the price. And if they actually functionally the same thing, the Japanese one, they say we buy it from a Japanese supplier, whether it's made in Japan or not, I don't really know. Anyway, Aoyama-san wants me to compare still. And he really wants to put the best value for the people, the cheapest one. And I don't know. Whatever. Anyway. We don't need to chop a whole lot of metal here. We're not breaking it. The tip wasn't broken. We're just simply redoing the edge. And I said Taran-san's crying about this, seeing me do it this way, but there is a real benefit to this. Using these small plates, putting your hand on the bench, you can keep your hand sliding on the bench and get the angle consistent. And if I had had this available to me years ago, it would have helped me so much. So for someone like Taran who is intending to become a total craftsman, in the Ito-san mold or whatever, it's better for him to learn the correct way. But for those of us who are now either too old to do that or who don't intend to become a total craftsman, who just want to make interesting prints, this method is completely fine. The thing is, so for the back, we can't do that because it's on the table. So to do the back, we're going to have to come up. And we ourselves good. Okay. That's the, oops, drop it on the tip. Why don't you, Dave? But for the finishing, we need the real stone. I don't have a finishing stone steel. Don't think I want one, but whatever. It's pulling, you see, I can't slide it here actually because it's stuck. It sticks. I flattened this a while ago. I took the other stone on top and rubbed it, so right now it's really flat. It's like that thing where you take two flat pieces of wood and you can't get them apart. So this is actually almost stuck. Well, the difference between me and Taran-san is, we know the story. He's very young here. He's in his 20s. And he wants to learn as much as he can of the way it used to be, the old traditional good techniques, at the best level. So it makes sense for him actually to, of course, to do that. Even though it's more difficult to sharpen that way, once you've got it under your belt, it's much better. So he's young and he's got a long-term goal of getting as the best he possibly can. Dave here does it this way because that's all I knew about. I became set in my habits for decades. And now that I'm, nearly 70, it makes no sense for me to try and go back and try and do it the official better way. I'm doing fine. You can do it this way. Just simply for Taran-san, it makes sense to dig in and learn the more difficult techniques from the start. So I'm okay. We can get by this way. It works really fine. My prints are fine. But it's just, this is one sort of problem with this channel and this Twitch stream. You're seeing me do this in an acceptable, interesting, good, reasonable way, but it's not the actual official way. What would be best is for Taran-san to learn, and then at some point he, of course, can start doing the same thing and show the thing, in the official way, whatever. So for now, you'll have to make do with me. Yeah, sorry, for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, if you've seen the Ito-san video, the traditional method is the carver is sitting in front of his bench. The stone is on a bucket with water inside because they're using traditional stones that need moistening. They're sitting cross-legged, and the stone is at waist height in front of them. And they will hold their arms in a certain way, in a certain angle, and you move the blade side to side over the stone. And it's really actually effective. The idea being that it moves a long distance. So instead of going chut, 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 which doesn't do much cutting, you're going sk, 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 sk. So a lot of material gets cut very, very, very quickly. It's really difficult to hold the angle right. But as I said, if you train and train and practice, it's extremely efficient. It just takes seconds. The carver will feel it's a bit dull. The stone is there at his side. From the moment of thinking I have to sharpen, move over there, get the water, wet the stone, sup, 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 back at it. It's like 60 seconds and you're all done. Tom1060 saying, did you get the email I sent you? I don't actually know. I know. Are we talking about a few minutes ago or? I don't know. I guess not. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. Okay, we're still working our way through this bamboo. We did the first one over here on, let's zoom in. Let's find the place. Just a sec. Let me find the place here. Yo-sho. Yo-sho. So we did the first bamboo over here, then I switched over to the other side. Let's come back here. We're warming up on bamboo before we get to the tiger. Messages. Related to the print you sent. No, I'm sorry, Tom, I haven't seen that. I'm sorry. I'll check again, or a few days ago. It could be then it's actually in the inbox and it's just gone up high enough that I haven't. I'll check. Okay, when the stream's over, sir, I'll check and have a look. Your safest bet is always to send stuff through to Cameron because that's his job. He checks email and things like that. So. This morning, before the stream started here, I was upstairs in the collection room thinking about what you would use for today's show and tell. And whatever, I had an idea, and we're going to do something a little bit different for show and tell today. We have a show and tell, it's interesting, but it's not the usual woodblock print stuff. Let's have a look, something very much related to the work here. But not a print per se today. Oh, look at that. There we go. Nanda. There it is. Look at that. Stuck to my finger. Where is it? Can't find it. Here it is. We broke our tip. No idea why. I wasn't misbehaving or anything like that. This might be one of those days. Might be one of those days. Oh, Taranka's just checking in, is he? Good, nice timing, sir. Well, I will tell you what, we just, we did the first one with the Chinese stone. Let's do that test. Let's do the second one with the Japanese stone. I don't think it's any difference to whether it breaks or not, but let's give it a try. Same thing to show. It happens just after sharpening, but I was being a good boy. I wasn't doing anything silly. So, exactly, Chicken Meister's here. We're going to make the angle less acute. I'm going to cut that tip back a bit. Now, for the kind of work we're doing right here, this is too acute. Absolutely, it's too acute. And we just paid the price for it just now. So I'm going to cut the angle back a little bit more. What's the word? I forget the mathematical word for not acute. I forget. Obtuse. Obtuse. That suits me fine. Obtuse. Taran-san, look the other way, okay? Don't worry about this. Look at that black. This is all bits of metal, pieces of metal coming off. Taran-san, just to bring you up to date, a few minutes ago we were doing this and we were talking about the difference, why I don't do it the side-to-side method, stuff like that. So if you can pop in some thoughts about this, you're obviously training with the sharpening, doing it on the side-to-side thing. Chat about that, please, Is it that difficult? It's okay. It's not all that stupendously difficult to do. I haven't, I'm not even bothering to try that these days. Whoa, that chops some metal quickly. Boy, oh boy, that chops quickly. That's the Japanese one. I'm sorry, Aoyama-san, there might really actually be a good difference between these two, They look so similar, but there might be a good difference between them. Taran-san sharpening this morning. Get your camera on. There's one aspect to this too that I never heard any of the other carvers talk about. I never heard Ito-san talk about this, and I Asuka-san either. When you're doing this on these stones, like right now, for example, we're on the 1000 stone, and we're not changing the shape of this now. The shape was changed by the 400 stone. Now I'm on the 1000. But it's not just automatically start, keep going, stop. I started with a firm pressure to try and cut and to get rid of the grooves from the previous stone. But as I go on, I'm cutting back on the pressure here. And by the time I get off this stone, I'm getting lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter. So it tends not to make scratches, it tends to polish out the scratches. And I never ever heard one of the old carvers ever mention anything like that. That for your final bunch of strokes on any given stone, back off the pressure. And it will leave a smoother finish ready for your next stone. To me, that's just common sense, but I never heard anybody mention that. Okay, as somebody mentioned there a moment ago, what we've done now, I've cut just a little bit back. The angle is not quite so acute. I hope that I brought it back just a little bit. We're not going around corners here. The bamboo we're carving here is all pretty much just straight, slight curved lines. There's no requirement to go around sharp corners. And there's nothing specifically hard. I don't know why it broke. Just it broke. Okay, let's get back to it. Thanks for the patience here. Sorry about that. Defect in the steel or just a moment's carelessness, I don't know. They're delicate things, you know. Okay, let's get back to it. Nobody's going to hold their breath waiting for it to break again. Who knows? It's a gorgeous, gorgeous day out there today, and I'm going to make a day of it here. I know the work I have to do today. I've got to ship some blocks and paper. I did sizing over the weekend, so that paper has to be shipped out to printers. So I've got 2 batches of paper and blocks that have to be sent to printers. And the rest of my work today is keyboard work. It's programming work. So what I'm going to do is, because it's such a beautiful day and it's Monday, not so many people around, I'm going to go to the water taxi. I'm going to take my laptop after I get all the shipping done. I'm going to take my laptop, grab some lunch on the way, and I'm going to get a ticket on the water taxi that goes down to Odaiba. And I'm going to spend an hour on the taxi there. They've got the benches so you can plug your laptop in. You can sit on the water taxi that goes down the Sumida River. And I'm going to sit there working peacefully for the hour on the boat. Then down at Odaiba, it's a sunny day, find a park, do some more work, take my Wi-Fi with me, of course. Grab a coffee shop, find a coffee shop, watch the timetable. Then in the late afternoon, get back on the boat, come back to Asakusa. So it's a working cruise for me today. Just anything, get out of this building, away from my office, away from the desk, Don't get quite as much work done, because, scenery and everything else, looking around at what's going on, geeking around and stuff. I would like to walk down there and take the boat back, but if I do that, I can't get any work done, and there's so much stuff waiting to get done here. Anyway, that's the plan. We'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes. Oh, it's the second Monday garbage, soka. It's the non-burnable, non-recyclable final day of other garbage that isn't possibly collectible by any other means. It happens every second Monday. I didn't have any today. We don't have much of that sort of stuff. Yeah, this is the ferry where they tell you to duck, depending on the tide. If you're upstairs and if the tide is high, then it's really a close shave under the bridges. If you're indoors, it's no big deal, of course. I don't think they call it a ferry, they call it a bus. Here in Japan, it's not called a ferry. The ferries are the ones that go back and forth across the river. This is the bus, water bus. And the one I take is the one that's run by Tokyo City. There's 3 or 4 companies running them. The one I use is called Tokyo Mizube. If you Google it, Mizube line, Tokyo Mizube line, it comes up. Is the woodblock print a stamp that gets transferred to paper? Well, I don't know if it's your first time here. I'm not quite sure how much to explain. After we finish carving, the carved material is high on the wood. We put ink on it, and paper pressed on it picks up the pattern. So it's not a stamp that we stamp down. It's a matrix on which we place the paper. Mizube, no, M-I-Z-U-B-E, Mizube. Tokyo Mizube line. I'm sure it's Googleable in English. Yeah, somebody's got it here, Mizube. And right now, it's April 19th right now, and these guys should be sold out every sailing, of course, because it's top tourist cherry blossom season. But we all know. So it's fine. There's nobody on there. They're just deserted. They would have been busy yesterday on a sunny weekend, but today they will be absolutely deserted. And they keep running them. They just keep running back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, even though nobody's on them. Once you've got your boats and you've hired your drivers and conductors and stationed people, what are you going to do? So it will be a very pleasant way to spend the afternoon. lunchtime, afternoon. The unfortunate thing is you can't eat on the boats. I mean, there are, of course, lots of cruises on the river where you get dinner and look at the lights and all that kind of stuff. But this is a water bus. And it's the same rule as any public transportation here. You don't eat on the public transportation. So it's too bad, because it would have been nice to take my lunch there and sit, but they don't allow that. You can have a takeout. You can carry a coffee with you. It's okay. But no problem. That's what the park at the other end is for. So. And they're cheap, you know. Well, relatively cheap. 700 yen to get to the other end from here, you know. So that's what I'll be doing this afternoon. The new bookkeeping system, the new order entry system is coming along very, very well. I'll be chatting with Cameron-san about it this morning. I got lots of work done on the weekend. He'll be eager to see this, you know. Every time I hear the wood pop, you know, the wood pops with a click sound. It's almost exactly the same sound as when you break the knife. So, you know, I think somebody mentioned that on the chat before, that I hear the click, 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 and every time I hear that click sound, I think the knife is broken, you know. Too thick. I should check back more often here. Sorry, you guys. Sorry. Yeah, Hamarikyu to Asakusa. It doesn't go from Hamarikyu anymore. The terminal inside the Hamarikyu garden is closed. It's next door now at Takeshiba. Cameron is here. Okay, Cameron, you can check this. I know, over up by yourself. Go to the Go to the new incoming order section. Grab one of them, who is a regular, who is already a previous customer. Send it through. Open up the order. Well, actually, you better not do this till I'm. Hold on. Wait till I'm finished the stream. We'll talk about it. Some of it's live, and emails now go back to the people who sent an order. Tell you what, do this. Cameron-san, go to the shopping cart, put in a manual order for something. You can see it then in the incoming orders, process it through, and then reply. That'll keep Cameron busy for half an hour or so. Do they still cruise to Hinode Pier? I don't know. The Mizube line doesn't go there, so I don't know the other schedules. Mizube line doesn't. Mizube line goes to Takeshiba, and then it goes, from there out to Odaiba. Relax, Kantar. We're testing the shopping cart. So Cameron will go to the shopping cart. He will put his name and address in. He won't go to PayPal. We have a button there that says, put in a manual order, I'll pay later. So that's the button he's going to use, and that will allow him to see the incoming order. So don't sweat here. Cameron, in order to continue to work here, in order to be allowed to continue to work here, you must buy X products per day. Well, that's not quite how we run things here. it's all about, actually it's kind of all about videos in one way, the new bookkeeping system and stuff like that. It's all about videos. Getting Cameron away from the bookkeeping and back behind the camera. Oh, birthday, I didn't remember that. Look at this. Some people are remembering Cameron's children's birthdays and I don't. I'm ashamed here. I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed. Birthdays, it's my daughter's birthday today. I got that one under control. But beyond that, I don't know if I can remember stuff, Sorry about that, Cameron. My apologies. I don't know if I need to apologize, but anyway, sorry. My rule in my own family is this. We go one up, one across, and one down for birthdays. Like I remember my parents' birthdays, I remember my children's birthdays. And I do it. I sent flowers yesterday from my daughter. And I remember my siblings' birthdays, but we don't do anything about that. I can't and don't pretend to remember my grandchildren's birthdays. There's 4 of them now, and it's just more than I can control. So that's our family rule. One up, one down, and one across. And beyond that, we don't have any sort of responsibilities, My daughter isn't angry at me because I didn't remember her son's birthday. We know there's a limit to what we can handle. So, and then should I be remembering staff, children's birthdays? I don't know. I don't think Cameron's upset that I didn't, and I don't think I should feel bad about that. But I don't even know Cameron's birthday. How can I remember his kids' birthdays? But somebody did remember. Wow. Wow. I am full of admiration. I think it's admiration. One up, one down, and one across. I'm a bit lucky with the birthdays, my daughter's birthdays, remembering. I said I remember them, and I usually do. I haven't every year. There was one year, I think even back when they were still teenagers, they were in Canada at school. And I missed my older daughter's birthday. And she was a little bit, Dad. So I'm not 100% on this, but I'm a little bit lucky now because I'm in Japan and they're over in Canada. And you know how Facebook works these days. Even, Facebook is just reminding you it's somebody's birthday and stuff like that. So even on those cases where if I did forget now, her birthday's April 2nd. So if I did forget, Facebook sends me a message on her April the 2nd. But that's for me, it's the day before. So I have a free day. They send me the message. And it's still the future for her. She's only still on April the 1st. So I've got a chance to quickly get some flowers ordered or something. So I have a backup because of the time zones. But I've been pretty good about remembering it. I've only got 2 daughters, so it's not so difficult to remember. And their birthdays are close together. They're just a couple of weeks apart, so that helps. It's the daughter's job to remind the grandparents of grandchildren's birthdays. Maybe, I guess, or whatever. It's like birthdays now. Everybody's birthday coming up. So you guys go for it, whatever. Oh, last known God is here. Good morning. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Changes to the bot. Very nice. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We've got a collection. We've been building them up, or I say the mods have been building up a collection. So Cameron's family, my rule was one up, one down. But even for a family like Cameron, boy, oh boy, that's going to be a tough call, you know. Whatever, write them down, make a notebook. What can you do, you know? But actually, Cameron said, in a family like that, then, you know, a family that's so large, were birthdays a real big deal? I mean, you can't, without being sarcastic about this, you can't really make such a big play about a birthday when there's so many of them every year, right? There's Christmases, there's Easters, there's birthdays. With that many children in a family, I think you have to sort of, whatever, what are we going to do about all this, you know? There was a young man came in last Friday to interview for a job, and he said he has 8 kids. Wow, certainly not so common here for Japan. That's absolutely, you know. He's personally making up for all the people who don't have kids, you know, whatever. We're well below replacement here in Japan, of course, you know. Cameron-san, when you're testing the new email thing, when an order comes in and you've got the new facility for replying to the customer on the order, you'll see the little 6 new buttons below it. It's a question of insertion point. You've got to set the insertion point first, of course, where you want the thing to appear. Greet to everybody else. We're the Japanese stock exchange is closed, yeah. The changes happened in recent decades here in Japan. They're trying. It's not really working successfully, but the basic plan in Japan is to try and work it so that there's a long weekend each month. It's sort of a long-term plan the government has had, moving holidays around and making holidays that are set to something the 15th or whatever, make it so that it moves to the nearest Monday. So the policy is to try and have a long weekend every month, so 12 long weekends a year. It hasn't worked out that way in practice, and they're still struggling with how to get it put together. And there's 2 main reasons for this. One is that one of the holidays, or maybe more than one, is like the emperor's birthday thing. And that, of course, they do it to the actual real birthday. So the emperor's changed, the birthday's changed, and that screws up your plan of trying to have one every, getting one every 12 months. I think other countries, I'm not sure, does Britain do that? They have a ceremonial Queen's birthday, so it's the holiday, it's not actually really her birthday, they just pretend. I'm not sure how it works over there. But this has been a problem for the Japanese in organizing these holidays, in that you want to honor the emperor's birthday, but you want to have holidays that don't move, and that doesn't fit the pattern, you know. So that's part of the problem here. The other problem is the Golden Week tradition, where they want to have a whole group of holidays all at once for an extended break. So it's gone back and forth during the years that I've been here. Holidays keep changing here, and I never actually even know. I get surprised and blindsided by them all the time. I'm thinking like, gee, it was quiet in the shop or something, or where is somebody, or somebody didn't show up for work, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's actually a holiday, and I didn't know about that. And Cameron and I still get that, because I just don't know. I don't keep track of it. You know? And for big companies that are running, you know, assembly lines and stuff like that, where the chip making assembly line can't actually shut down easily, you know, those guys have a problem. You know. That one there, right? Did you think that was a tip break? It was a wood ka-chunk. Tip is okay. Wow, comments, such long comments, I can't, I can't follow this now, sorry. So okay, change this bot. Thank you very much, Nick-san. Thank you very, very much. It's really been helpful. So, super helpful. Coming along, coming along. Next group. How's our time? We're okay. 2/3. Would older carvers get this precision? Whatever, I'm not sure what to say about this. We use the microscope here as we sit. It's helping two ways. It helps a bunch of ways. It helps keep the focus under the camera here, whereas if I was carving freehand, would be moving all over the place. It does magnify things, of course. There's things I can carve that I wouldn't be able to do without this. But part of it now, of course, I'm losing some capabilities in my sight, and this very much helps. There's a benefit here that I hadn't really realized until the last few months of using this thing. When I look at things now with my normal eyes, the bottom field of vision of my right eye is gone. It doesn't exist anymore. I keep tripping over things that come up at the right-hand side. I've learned now just to keep looking down carefully, because the bottom right-hand side of my vision is gone. But when I look through here, you're only actually now using the center of your pupils. So it turns out that outside I have glaucoma, but looking through the scope, I don't have glaucoma anymore because it's only using the central part of my eyes. And that's a benefit to this that I had never understood or known about until recent months as this thing has been progressing. So this is really helping. It lets me just use the center of my field of vision instead of the outside parts, the parts that are disappearing. So that's another benefit to this thing. But we're not working under really heavy magnification here. We're not looking at bacteria walking across the surface of the block here. Tomorrow, I'm heading off to the hospital tomorrow. It's my 3-month checkup on my eyes. They put me in, they've got a big hood. They put me in a big hood and they flash lights and stuff and they check, how you're progressing. And the last one, 3 months ago, it showed no dramatic progression, no measurable progression from the one 3 months before. And this is the next test tomorrow. 3 months have passed and we'll see if there's any progressive loss in that eye, how it's going. I don't know. They also test the pressure and stuff like that. So tomorrow is the next checkup. If there's no cancellation, it's quite possible that there will be a phone call today from the hospital saying, just leave us alone, don't come near it. Because if you follow the Japanese news the last couple of weeks, there's been a massive uptick in virus problems, corona problems. And the hospital that I go for my own checkups for this is one of the main centers that is handling the emergency patients. So it's quite possible the girl at the desk will phone me today and say, sorry, look, we just can't handle this tomorrow, so just please cancel. The microscope is, I don't touch the microscope. It's not pushing. I sit here, there's a plastic thing on one of each. There's a plastic thing here, and that rests on my eyebrow if I touch it. So there's absolutely nothing. I don't really even touch that. I mostly sit back looking through it, but when I do touch it, it's that plastic thing touching my eyebrow. So I don't think there's any, and there's no stress. I'm not straining into this thing at all. I'm just sitting here looking down into there. The thing about the eyeball pressure, it's really, really funny. It's pretty clear one of the main causes of this glaucoma thing is that when the fluid gets pressed, it damages the retina at the back. And that's one of the way they treat people. They use some medications that try and reduce the pressure inside the eyes. In my case, so far, every time we've done this test, there is no incidence of high pressure. So they haven't given me any medication. So it's made me think about this, Imagine, over the years, you get up in the morning and go, and you wipe your eyes and this and that and this and that. Then for a few seconds, you're actually really pressing your eyeballs. You're increasing the pressure. And maybe that's it over years and years and years and years and years, just to increase the pressure for a few seconds, and it does a few micro whatever's worth of damage. So these days, since I've learned about this, I basically now never touch my eyes. If I'm doing the morning thing, I just, think about it. I don't actually push the eyeballs. It could be that just that casual bit by bit, day by day touching them is increasing the pressure inside and doing incremental damage tiny bit by tiny bit by tiny bit. So for me now, I never ever touch my eyes, the actual eyeball part. I certainly don't ever do anything that would put pressure on it. Because there's that conundrum. I don't have internally high pressure in my eyes, and yet there is the damage in the back. So where did it come from? I don't know. So anyway, update tomorrow if they let me go. It sounds like the chat is having fun today. I don't know. Tell you what, I'll have a read through it as I'm having my sandwich on the boat. There's another benefit to me for those little bus trips, the water bus trips. The water bus dock closest to me here It's right beside Nitenmon, the older gate next to Sensoji. And that's right beside Skeroku Diner. We talked about this the other day. There's a nice restaurant down there. It's a little diner. It's a bar at night time and a diner sort of in the day. The English is Suke, S-U-K-E 6 dot diner, Suke 6 diner. In Japanese, it's Roku, Skeroku Diner. And they make nice sandwiches. And so I'll be strolling along there, say 11:30 or so, grabbing a sandwich, get a can of juice, jump on the jump on the bus, water bus, and I'll read the chat. That is if I can get my shipping work done this morning first. So all the paper I sized on the weekend, it's hanging up there. I've got to get it down, press it flat, cut it to size, get it off ready for the printer. So there's actually a ton of work. I don't know if I'll actually get that lunch plan ready for the boat or not. I don't know. We'll see. They've got their sandwiches there. They're in a chilled showcase, and I don't actually even look at them. I just grab one. They've got 3 or 4 types each day. And it's more fun just to grab one and see what you get later on, So I grabbed one the other day, a couple of weeks ago actually, when I did this. Went down there, grabbed a sandwich to eat when I got to the park in Odaiba, Takashiba. And I bit into the sandwich and I'm like, what is this? What is this? So I have a look at the package. It shows you all the ingredients. And what it was what we call here in Japanese nama ham. What do you call it? Raw ham slices. Like a nice. It's a baguette style, and there's some butter and stuff inside there. And then there was some raw ham and a few greens, and then there was some white stuff in there. I'm like, what is this white stuff? And I look at the ingredients, and the sandwich is raw ham and organic farm butter sandwich. And it was a butter sandwich. They had done something with the baguette first, put some greens in, put some ham in, and then put dices of butter. That's a new one for me. It was tasty stuff. It was some sort of super handmade organic butter from heaven or something. I don't know what it was, but it was tasty. But I don't think I've ever had a butter sandwich before. So they were so proud of this tasty butter that they made a sandwich out of it. So wouldn't want to do that every day, I don't think. It's a nice place. So I'm so glad they're there. My God, the new Japan, there was nothing like this when I came here decades ago. There was nothing like this. Are we looking for time? What are we happening here? I don't know. 9/11. Hi, 9/11. Kiyosubashi でしょ? Kiyosubashi doesn't make much sense. I think it's Kiyosubashi. The one before Eitaibashi でしょ? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful bridge. Butter sandwiches washed down with sugar water. Ouch, ouch, ouch. We had sugar toast when I was a kid. Is my mother here today? She probably wouldn't want to hear me talk about that. Sometimes at breakfast there's toast and then just sugar on top, and I'm like, okay. When I remember that now, I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know. Yeah, Kyosubashi is a nice one. The bridges here are generally nice, you know. The only little tiny downside to that conversation is the nicest looking ones. You read the history, and it turns out copied from a model in Europe, and they're all modeled after European bridges, I guess. So from the first part of the 20th century, the Japanese were replacing all the old wooden bridges, and I guess maybe it's not 20th, it's Meiji time, and they still had a lot of help. There was the engineering was done by Europeans coming in, helped them build bridges and schools and stuff like that. So some of the earliest infrastructure here that's still surviving is very, very, very European, you know. And even for a long time after that, the Japanese followed European engineering models for these bridges and stuff. So all the bridges, you know, you think I've seen a picture of that somewhere before, and yeah, it's in Cologne or something or whatever. You know. I think one of them is modeled after the Hammersmith Bridge in London. They're having some real trouble with that one right now. But yeah, it's a very, very pleasant trip down there on the river, you know. And it'll be even nicer a couple of decades from now when they've put the freeways out of there, you know. Not quite sure how that's going to play out, but we'll see. Okay, that's a little hour's work there. We missed one here. Good, got a good start on this. Another batch of this, then we'll get on busy on the tiger. We're good to go, right? I feel the buzzer buzzing underneath my bum here. Okay, as I mentioned, something a bit different today for show and tell. Something a bit different. Okay, the box I've brought from upstairs today. We have a book. We have brought something from the show and tell, for the show and tell from upstairs. It says, it's two characters. It's Kikuhide. Kikuhide, it's a brand name. Anybody got this? Karen-san, you know what this is, right? Kikuhide. Karen's got it. It's a baren box. We are going to look today at our tool. You've seen me use this. You've seen me use this thing when I've been doing my pasting down and pasting down. And the other day, somebody in the chat here said, when I was doing the printing upstairs, somebody in the chat asked this question. I was doing this. I was printing, and every now and then I rotated this thing. And somebody asked the question, why do I rotate the stone that I'm using to do the rubbing with? And I thought, okay, we actually get asked that all the time. Why are you using a stone? And it seems that there's an idea that people don't quite know what is inside this. So we're going to spend the next couple of minutes looking inside this thing to see exactly what they are and what's going on. So a slight 10-15 minutes look at one of our tools. So it's not a woodblock print show and tell today, it's a tool show and tell. It's 3 parts to our main tool here, 3 parts. The first part you can see clearly, the outside it's a bamboo skin. And we get them like this. We buy them in packs of hundreds and hundreds because we can't use most of them. Most of them get thrown away. We get them in packs of about 100 or so, and they are not bamboo leaves, they are bamboo, what's the word? It's a, what do you call it? A bamboo sheath? I didn't even know the English word for it. Bamboo skin, bamboo sheath, bark, I don't know. It's when the bamboo is growing up, these are the parts on the outside that grow off and they fall off and they grow up and they fall off and they grow up and they fall off. And they get harvested here in Japan every June or July. Just after the rainy season, the bamboo starts sprouting up like crazy, and these things fall off. And in the old days, it was easy for us to get these. They were dirt cheap all over the place because 2 things. They were used for food wrapping, so they were a common consumable item. They were available all over the place. And second is, kids in the countryside used to gather these as a way to get pocket money. And the Tokyo dealer would have wholesalers, and the wholesaler would have little contacts in the villages, part of the agricultural co-ops. And the 6-8-year-old boys from elementary school would go out there in the summertime after they've fallen. You got to get them before a rainy day comes, because once they've been sitting on the ground in the rain, it's game over. And the kids would gather them up by the hundreds and get their pocket money, giving them to the agricultural co-op. They came to the main cities, and here we are. We had access to easy, cheap bamboo skins. These days, no kids need pocket money anymore. So the kids don't gather them. It's become a professional job. It's big, it's expensive, and they are now hard to get. Not to mention, nobody needs them anymore because they're not used for food wrapping. But anyway, long story short, we still do get them. That's the outside of this thing. What's inside is the main key to this. Let's have a look at one of these. Well, look at this one. This is an absolute... Can we go out there and pick them up myself? Well, here in the middle of Asakusa, there's not too many bamboo trees here in the middle of Asakusa. If we live in the countryside, you got access to lots of them. The other thing is, too, most of them are too thick. Most of them are too heavy. They've been on the ground for a couple of hours too long. You've got to get them fast, and we need good, thin, strong ones. Okay, here's the inside guts of this thing. It's 2 parts. The coil of bamboo, this is the thing that actually does our printing work. This is the part that does the job. You've seen me rubbing with this thing, rubbing. The bamboo skin covers, but what's doing the job? If this was completely smooth, it wouldn't actually work to do any printing. It only works to do printing because it's bumpy. You can feel the bumps. The bumps of this coil press through the bamboo skin, and that's the action. It's the action of those bumps which do the rubbing on the back of the paper. Here's the completed coil ready to go. If we move back a step, we have the coil as it comes from the maker before it's been coiled up. And we're going to need to zoom in here. And what you're seeing is a braid. And this is braided also from the same material I showed you a moment ago, the bamboo sheath, the bamboo leaf, the thing that I just showed you. And this is braided from tiny scraps of that bamboo. The maker will take this bamboo thing, slice off the parts he wants, peel off the back, cut it into tiny thin string-like strips. And those little string-like strips are woven together with his fingers into the coil that you see. And just the two of them that you're seeing right here now, the one down on the desk here, and this one, you can see they're quite different. This coil in my fingers is thicker and heavier and has larger bumps. The one on the desk here is smaller and has tinier bumps. And the printer in his workshop here, we have a whole raft of different barens all in a row. We can pick one that is very delicate for soft work, or we can pick one that has rough coils. This is one of the roughest ones I've ever seen. Printing with this would be for big, thick, heavy work on thick paper where you need pressure. This is a power baren, a power tool. This one is very, very delicate and light. So when we're ordering barens from the baren maker, we have to specify exactly what we want. And there's a numbering code. This is a 12 medium, this is a 16 thick, stuff like this. You order by the various numbers. And 16 simply means that it's been, you weave them together twice to make a 2, that's folded with itself to make a 4, that's rolled on itself to make an 8. So it's 2, 4, 8, 16. And you can roll an 8 and a 4 together to make a 12. And that's the power. That's where the actual rubbing power comes from. The other main part of this thing is what's called the ategawa, the disc. And I wish I had all the component parts to show you this. This is so cool. We do this at our print parties. We pass one of these out to the people in the print party and say, what do you think this is made of? And they will say, cardboard, or they will say leather. Leather is a common answer we get because it sort of does feel a bit leathery. And what these things are made from is the thinnest washi, kind of like the gampi paper that we see. And one like this will be made of maybe 50 sheets of paper. A small circle, a bigger circle, a bigger circle, a bigger circle, a bigger circle, laid up one after the other to make what we call the ategawa. Why use paper like that? Because it ends up being so insanely strong. It's like laminated wood. You get a piece of wood, you can bend it and it'll break. You get a piece of wood maybe made up of all tiny small pieces of wood glued together, plywood, laminated, whatever, it's much, much, much stronger. And that's what's happening here. You're looking at a tool made of around 50 sheets of thin paper laminated together. And he does them one sheet a day. He's got a wooden form that has this shape, puts a sheet of paper on, glue, puts another sheet of paper on, and waits 24 hours for it to dry. 50 sheets, 24 hours. That's 2 months' work. Of course, while he's waiting for that to dry, he's got 6 of these going at the same time. He's making all the coils. Of course, he doesn't sit there and wait 2 months. But that's the deal. It takes around 2 months to make one of these. There's lots more to it. It's covered with silk at the top. It's lacquered at the top to give it protection from the water. And it is just one of the most coolest products on this planet. It's thick and hard. It's the ultimate frisbee. It's a beautiful, beautiful object. And just this by itself is a few $100s because of the effort and energy and time it takes to make it. The one I've got here, it's Murata. Murata-san died many, many years ago. This is one of the barens that came up in that auction we talked about from Yahoo Auctions a dozen years ago or so. We made a video about this. There were 7 or 8 barens in a box, and there were 2 from Murata-san. Never used, beautiful barens. Worth, I can't imagine how much it's worth. This is one preserved from that auction. It's never been used, and we will never use it. We are going to keep it as a sample of the tool. There's questions building up here to show. How do I extend the life of a baren? Maintenance, maintenance, maintenance. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. They do wear out. It's string. It's a fabric. It's plant. It's vegetable stuff. So rubbing and rubbing and rubbing and rubbing. The tips of these coils do eventually start to wear out and get flat. And there's lots of things you can do. A strong baren that starts to get flat is still usable. You just use it for more gentle jobs. But you can actually recover this thing. Step 1 is simply this. You flip this inside and you've now got a fresh face. So if that took you 3 or 4 years to wear it out for the first face, you've now got 3 or 4 years more you can use the inside face. But okay, now it's gone another few years, you're flat on this side, you're flat on this side. What they do is this. You take it over a kettle, steam. You take this coil, hold it over the steam from a kettle. You chop very lightly the little strings that are holding it together. You can see the strings here that are weaving this thing together. And bit by bit, over the steam, as this becomes supple, you open it up, open it up, open it up, open it up. So instead of having a coil now, you've got a long loop of this stuff. You've got a long 10 meters or so of this. And when you think about it, the thing that you've now got in your hands will have a flat surface on this side. It'll have a flat surface on this side. It's the two parts that were flattened out. But this face and this face are still good to go. So what you do is, while it's still soft and supple from being under the steam, you roll it up again, and at this time you keep the flat faces, the parts that are worn out, you keep them at the sides. So as you roll it up and as you roll it up and put it back together again, you've got another clean top surface and another clean bottom surface. You sew it back together with the thread, in she goes, and you're good for another 3 years on the top, 4 years on the top, flip it over again, and another 4 years or so on the bottom. So you can, I'm talking about a person that uses this every day, every day, every day, every day. For someone like the casual printers who are doing this somewhere else, this is a lifetime tool. But for someone who really beats it up, it can be extended in that way 4 times. If you were paranoid, I guess you could try to do it 6. You could do the flat surface top and bottom. Then instead of doing it this way, you could do it this way and that way. You could really, really, really try and extend it as long as you can. And then, as I said, even then, once it is finally worn out and becomes small, you just move it down a grade. A baren that used to be used for medium colors will now be maybe used for printing soft hairlines. You can make these things last a long, long, long time. There's a book about this stuff, you know. We showed you once one of the old books about this, but in recent years, Goto-san, the guy who makes most of the barens we use, he put out a book in Japanese. It was self-published. He paid a publisher to publish this. They made, I think, 500 copies or so. They're all sold here in Japan. They're all sold out long ago. He wants to do an English version. In fact, back then he asked me, Dave, translate this for me and we'll publish an English version. And I'm like, translate this for you and we'll publish an English version. In Goto-san, that's really a cool idea, but unfortunately I have like 1 or 2 things on my plate. But the idea is there. There should absolutely be an English version of this. And he is cool to doing it in any way, form possible. He's not looking to make a fortune out of this. He wants to be compensated for his time. If we had an English version of this, what would be cool is to do an English version of this, and instead of making a physical book, which is expensive, do an e-book. We could sell it on the website. He could get his percentage. Here we are. Here's the examples. I said the small circular pieces of paper. This is a guide. There's the 50 sheets, and this one is 12 centimeters, 12, 14, 12, 4, 2 by 4. You know, all the full map of how he does this. It's a fabulous book, a fabulous resource. He's just documented every last little step of the way, all the way through this. There's never been a book documentation like this before, but it needs to have an English version. So I don't know. Would there be some way to crowdsource it? I don't know. Or maybe nowadays, because the mechanical translations are getting easier, run it through the Google machine first and then fix it up. I don't know. That would be a cool thing to work on. Get his book first translated into rough English, fixed up, make an e-book, put it on our website. Shiba-san's not making barens. You're confused. It's Ayumi-san, the girl who used to work here. She studied with Goto-san to make barens for a while, came back here to work as a printer because she couldn't make enough living selling barens. She's off making her second baby, which is due, I think, about 2 weeks from now. So she is not making barens right now. She is making babies instead. What else is to mention about these? What else? I've got inside my box here is Dave's. This is one of the treasures of my life, absolutely. This is the first real baren that I got. I got it back in, it would be 1989, when I was first working on the Poet series. And I used it all the years I was working by myself, and then I made a big mistake. When we opened a workshop here, Dave became a manager, became a business owner. I put my own tools into the workshop here because we didn't have anything else. We had no choice. And the girls grabbed this barren because it was so good, and they used it and used it and used it, and every day. And it got worn. I opened it, we rethreaded it. I opened it, we rethreaded it. And it came to the end of its usable lifetime. So that's the inner coil that I used myself for the first 25 years of my printmaking. All my poets' prints, all the Sudimono prints, they were all made with this coil. But it died because the girls here just simply overused it. It can't be helped. So what I did was I went back to Goto-san, the guy who had made it, and I sent it back to him and said, okay, I realize this can't be unwound anymore, but what I want you to do is I want you to clone this coil. Make a new coil as close as you can to the original coil, please. And he did. He made it. He sent back the old coil, and he sent back a new coil made as a replica of this. And of course, the Yategawa, the disc itself, that's still totally fine, even after 25 years. So I do have now a rebirth. It's like you lose a pet, and you've got the cloning technology now, and they clone your pet, and it comes back. And that's what I've got here. And I have never opened it. I have not yet opened it. I'm just not doing any work here these days. And the idea is if somehow I can get the management of this company off to other people, get back and make some prints for myself, then this is waiting for me, a brand new clone of my partner tool for 25 years. And we'll see if I can still make any prints. Whatever, we'll see. Or maybe none of that will happen, and this will sit in this box, and they will find it when I'm gone. I don't know. No idea which way it's going to go. No idea. Anyway, there we are. Just a little bit of a look inside one of our tools. I'm not upset, the wrong word, but people keep saying, why are you using a stone to rub your prints? And it's not a stone. It's a thing. It's a barren. It's a real thing. And we have some treasures here. We have some treasures. Up in the print room, they've got, 10 or 12 of them they rotate with carefully. The girls upstairs now, they're taking care of them pretty well. They're not using the same one day after day after day after day after day. Drink coasters, no thanks. These are not leaving this room, Doesn't matter how old they get. They're not leaving this room, so, Anyway, there we have it. I thought it might be interesting today. Instead of a print, we'll look at one of our tools. Okay, it's Monday. The schedule now coming up, I will be, of course, carving this block now for the next few weeks. So when you see our next stream on the Thursday morning, it'll be me here carving. As a heads up, next Monday, 1 week from now, is the sign-up day for the 400 doses of vaccine that my city has ready. And the sign-up time is 9 o'clock next Monday morning, during the middle of our stream. So I'll have to say, excuse me for a minute while I sit here and type and try and sign up for my vaccination on Monday. But anyway, that's a week away. I'll see you before that, next Thursday. Thanks, in. I'll look for the email. Tom something has an email for me, whatever. I'll have a look for that. Thank you very much. I'm sorry not to catch it yet. And I'll see you in 3 days from now. Thursday morning for me, Wednesday night for you guys. Let me pop up the outside here just for a second or two. Still quiet. Very, very quiet. We have a semi-floater today. It's trying to take off. See you on Thursday. Thanks very much, guys. Bye for now.